What does it really mean when the people say popes can't be wrong? What exactly is the papal infallibility all about? That's what we are diving into in today's video. The church never claims that he is perfect or the pope is incapable of sinning. At the end of the day, the pope is a human being just like us who can make mistakes and fall into sin. That's why he goes to confession just like any other Catholic would. In fact, there have been some pretty bad popes in the history, and honestly, it's entirely possible that some of them could end up in hell. Infallibility isn't the same as impeccability. Don't get these two mixed up. Infallibility doesn't mean the Pope is incapable of sinning. It also doesn't mean that every single word he utters is perfectly right. What papal infallibility actually means is this: when the Pope officially defines a doctrine on faith or morals that the entire church should believe, God steps in to ensure that no errors creep into that teaching. To put it simply, the papal infallibility is a lot like the finality of Supreme Court ruling. It just means that when the Pope makes an official formal declaration on the matters of faith, it's the final word and is protected from error. But think of the Chief Justice. If he is just chatting at home or writing a book, those thoughts aren't the court verdict. They aren't binding and they definitely aren't the final word. But when he is in the courtroom, sitting in his official chair and delivering a verdict, that's a different story. It's final. It's the same with the Pope. The infallibility only kicks in when he speaks ex cathedra. Ex cathedra literally means from the chair or from his official position of authority. You have probably heard of cathedrals, right? A church gets that name because it houses a cathedra, that is, the bishop's official throne or seat. It's basically the bishop's home church. So, when the Pope speaks as the shepherd of all Christians to define and declare a doctrine, an official teaching on faith or morals, the Holy Spirit guides him to protect it from any error. Think of it like a Supreme Court judge giving a ruling from the bench. It's final. It's the same when the Pope teaches from the Apostolic See. Those teachings are the final word. Think about it. Why do we go to the courts in the first place? It's usually because there is a disagreement or dispute that needs settling, right? Even though the Bible is the foundation of our faith, whenever there is a conflict over how to interpret it, the church is the one to make the final call. Usually, the Pope works with the bishops to decide these things, but as the head of the church, he has the authority to settle these matters on his own too. When he officially declares a position on faith like this, it is final and error free. That is exactly what infallibility means. This infallibility doesn't apply to everything the Pope says, like when he is talking to reporters or giving a casual speech. But don't get me wrong, those words still carry a lot of weight. Think of it this way: if our Chief Justice gives a speech or writes a book, it's obviously a very important and valuable resource, but it's not the same as a formal ruling or a court verdict. In fact, people are perfectly free to disagree with the ideas in his books. It's the same with the Pope. What he says about the faith and morals is highly respected worldwide. And as a spiritual father, his words have real authority. But unless he speaks ex cathedra, those everyday statements are not considered infallible.